Animation during the 1990s and early 2000s lived in a strange middle ground, being too vivid and experimental to be dismissed as kid stuff, yet often too emotionally raw for adults to recognize at the time. Beneath the cheerful visuals and toy tie-ins, many of these series carried deep psychological undercurrents. They examined grief, loneliness, guilt, and the human struggle to stay hopeful in a flawed world. This was an era when creators smuggled philosophy and pain into 35-minute stories wrapped in humor or fantasy. Looking back, it's remarkable how fearlessly these shows dealt with darkness. They didn't rely on gore or explicit violence, but on atmosphere, tone, and consequence. Characters lost, suffered, and questioned their purpose, and sometimes there was no neat resolution in between action scenes and jokes. These series quietly unpacked trauma, injustice, and existential dread in ways few adult dramas dare to attempt. So let's begin without wasting time. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Batman, the Animated Series, 1992. When Batman, the Animated Series premiered, it transformed expectations for superhero cartoons. It wasn't just a comic book brought to life. Instead, it was a film noir about trauma, obsession, and moral ambiguity. Gotham City itself felt like a living nightmare, drawn in shadows and silence. Its Art Deco skyline dripping with melancholy. Every character seemed burdened by something they couldn't escape. The villains were more tragic than evil. Mr. Freeze's grief over his wife's fate, Two-Face's fractured identity, and Harley Quinn's blind devotion to the Joker painted a portrait of pain disguised as villain. Even Bruce Wayne wasn't spared from this darkness. His war on crime was shown less as justice and more as penance, becoming an endless loop of guilt and loneliness. The show rarely offered closure. Even victories felt bittersweet, with Batman often standing alone as the city slept. It refused to comfort viewers with moral certainty. Instead, it asked uncomfortable questions. Can vengeance ever heal loss? Can justice exist without empathy? Visually, the show was as bold as its themes. The animators literally painted on black paper to give every frame a haunting depth. The orchestral score, inspired by classic cinema, added operatic tragedy to even the quietest scenes. This wasn't a story of capes and catchphrases. It was a meditation on brokenness and the cost of trying to fix an unfixable world. For many, it was the first time a cartoon didn't feel like a fantasy, but a mirror reflecting human pain and perseverance. Gargoyles, 1994. When Gargoyles premiered in 1994, audiences expected another formulaic Disney cartoon filled with moral lessons and lighthearted humor. What they got instead was a brooding, operatic saga about loss, prejudice, and redemption. Set against a gothic New York skyline, the series followed a clan of ancient stone guardians cursed to sleep for 1,000 years, only to awaken in a world that no longer understands them. From its very first episode, Gargoyles struck a tragic rather than whimsical tone. Its world was filled with betrayal, moral ambiguity, and heartbreak. The show's creator, Greg Weisman, treated it like Shakespearean drama, weaving in elements of fate, revenge, and philosophical conflict. Goliath, the noble leader, embodied stoic sorrow, and his attempts to bridge two worlds often ended in pain. Demona, his former mate turned bitter antagonist, represented the corrosive nature of vengeance. Her hatred wasn't born from evil, but from betrayal and centuries of rejection, making her one of Disney's most layered villains. This emotional realism gave the show an edge that more closely mirrored adult dramas than children's fare. Each episode wrestled with heavy ideas, cultural displacement, the ethics of revenge, and the search for belonging in a society that fears difference. The Gargoyles' struggle mirrored real-world prejudice, subtly encouraging empathy for outsiders. Visually, Gargoyles was drenched in shadow and stormlight, its atmosphere reflecting the characters' inner turmoil. The music swelled with operatic tension, and dialogue often carried the cadence of tragedy rather than comedy. Even its brief moments of hope were tinged with melancholy. Courage with Cowardly Dog, 1999. At first glance, Courage the Cowardly Dog appears to be a wacky, surreal horror comedy about a timid pink dog protecting his elderly owners in a remote farmhouse. Yet, beneath the absurdity lies an unsettling darkness rarely seen in children's animation. The show thrived on the uncanny, eerie music, distorted visuals, and sudden, inexplicable threats, created a pervasive sense of dread. Courage faced not just monsters, but metaphysical horrors, warped realities, and moral ambiguity, all while his owners, Muriel and Eustace, remained largely largely oblivious to the dangers around. The true horror of the series often came from its exploration of vulnerability and isolation. Nowhere, the show's setting, wasn't just a geographical location. It symbolized the helplessness and insignificance of its characters. In a universe governed by chaos, Courage's bravery was constantly tested against foes who were cruel, manipulative, or simply incomprehensible. Episodes like The Mask or Perfect delved into psychological trauma, questioning identity, desire, and the fear of abandonment. Even seemingly comedic monsters often revealed human truths: greed, vanity, selfishness, and jealousy, manifesting as grotesque, surreal figures. The brilliance of this series lies in its balance of fear and empathy. It forced viewers both young and old to confront anxiety, mortality, and the unknown, all while using humor, absurdity, and creativity as buffers. Watching it as an adult, the series transforms from a quirky children's show into a profound exploration of courage, dread, and the human condition.
In this house is junk. What can I do? No money.
Rocko's Modern Life, 1993. Rocko's Modern Life seems like a zany, colorful cartoon about a wallaby navigating life in a quirky city. Underneath its slapstick humor and absurd situation lies a surprisingly dark commentary on the anxieties and frustrations of adulthood. Unlike other 90s cartoons that relied on simple moral lessons, Rocko's Modern Life explored stress, economic pressures, social alienation, and existential dread, all filtered through its anthropomorphic characters. Rocko himself is the archetype of the overworked, underappreciated individual, constantly struggling to maintain sanity in a chaotic world. Episodes like Can and Zanzibar showcase his vulnerability as he faces literal and figurative disaster, often amplified to absurd, nightmarish extremes. The show regularly satirized corporate greed, environmental destruction, and societal indifference, turning everyday modern life into a surreal, sometimes terrifying landscape. Characters like Heifer, Filbert, and Ed Bighead each represent different anxieties, naivety, obsessive neurosis, or toxic cynicism, painting a layered portrait of human dysfunction. Even the visual style contributed to the unsettling tone. Bright colors and exaggerated animations mask grotesque transformations, bizarre facial expression, and moments of body horror that are easy to overlook in a casual view. The humor often derives from discomfort, embarrassment, or consequences that spiral beyond control, giving the show a strange emotional weight. The Real Adventures of Jonny Quest, 1996. The Real Adventures of Jonny Quest might look like a standard action-adventure series, but beneath its high-tech gadgets and globe-trotting escapades lies a surprisingly dark undercurrent. The show explored danger, mortality, and moral ambiguity in ways that were rare for animated series aimed at a younger audience. Unlike traditional hero-saves-the-day formulas, Jonny and his friends often face situations with no easy solutions, and stakes that were uncomfortably real. Villains were ideologically complex, morally compromised, or driven by obsession, making every conflict feel weighty and sometimes frightening. The series frequently introduced mature themes such as betrayal, death, and the limits of human knowledge. Episodes like Virtual Unreality and Cyberworld explored existential questions, identity, and the psychological strain of virtual environments, anticipating the kind of storytelling that would later dominate sci-fi media. Jonny and his companions often grappled with fear, guilt, and responsibility, showing that heroism carried both emotional and physical costs. Visually, the show used a mix of traditional animation and early CGI, creating a striking, sometimes disorienting aesthetic. The combination of realistic danger, heightened suspense, and occasionally grotesque imagery gave the series an intensity far beyond most contemporaneous cartoons. Even mundane moments could carry a sense of tension, as the world felt alive with hidden threats and uncertainty. The Real Adventures of Jonny Quest ultimately challenged viewers to confront the unknown and accept that morality and danger are rarely simple. By combining thrilling adventure with psychological depth and genuine peril, it provided a darker, more sophisticated take on childhood exploration than most animated series dared. Samurai Jack, 2001. Samurai Jack is often remembered for its stylish action and striking visuals, but beneath the surface lies a surprisingly dark meditation on time, loss, and the human condition. The series follows Jack, a samurai sent forward in time by the evil shapeshifter Aku, as he struggles to return to his own era. While on the surface this is a classic hero's quest, the show repeatedly emphasizes isolation, despair, and the relentless passage of time, giving it a gravitas rare in animated series. Jack's journey is not punctuated by comic relief or guaranteed victories. It's often lonely, exhausting, and emotionally taxing. The narrative thrives on existential tension. Jack constantly confronts worlds ruled by cruelty, corruption, and chaos, reflecting on themes of futility and perseverance. Many episodes end ambiguously, with moral dilemmas unresolved or consequences lingering, forcing viewers to consider the cost of heroism. Aku's tyranny is both external and symbolic, representing Jack's internal struggles, fears, and doubts, making the conflict both psychological and physical. Jack's encounters with suffering, injustice, and death are unflinching, especially for a show aimed at a younger audience. Visually, the series heightens its darker tone through stark contrasts, minimalist backgrounds, and cinematic framing. Silence, shadow, and sudden bursts of violence contribute to an atmosphere of tension and unpredictability. Even brief sequences can feel deeply unsettling, emphasizing the weight of Jack's isolation and the hostility of the world he navigates. Samurai Jack is a philosophical exploration of resilience, morality, and the search for purpose. Jack isn't just fighting an external villain, he's also struggling to maintain his integrity and hope against overwhelming odds. In retrospect, the series combines the simplicity of a hero's journey with profound meditations on suffering, patience, and perseverance. Hey Arnold, 1996. At first glance, Hey Arnold appears to be a warm, slice-of-life cartoon about a small boy navigating school, friendships, and urban adventures. However, beneath its gentle humor and quirky character designs lies a surprisingly dark and emotionally sophisticated series. The show frequently explored themes such as parental neglect, abandon, poverty, and social alienation, making it one of the more psychologically grounded children's shows of its time. Arnold himself is often portrayed as a moral anchor, quietly observing the flawed, frequently unfair world around him, while simultaneously coping with his own unresolved issues. One of the series' darkest recurring motifs is Arnold's family situation, raised by his grandparents after his parents' mysterious disappearance. Arnold embodies both resilience and loneliness. Episodes subtly emphasize the emotional weight of growing up without parental guidance, dealing with uncertainty, and striving to maintain optimism amid hardship. The urban environment of Hillwood is no mere backdrop. It's a place of subtle menace, inequality, and small personal tragedy. Friends face bullying, neglectful authority figures, and struggles with identity, reflecting real-world challenges in a manner rarely seen in cartoons aimed at children. The show also excels at exploring moral ambiguity and emotional complexity. Characters often face dilemmas with no perfect solutions, where good intentions can lead to unintended harm. Moments of genuine sadness or fear are balanced against humor, but the darkness is never entirely erased. Even seemingly lighthearted episodes carry undercurrents of anxiety, disappointment, or unfulfilled desire, giving the series a layer of realism and emotional depth.
Oh, Grim! I need you!
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, 2003. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was a zany, darkly comedic series about two children and their unwilling friendship with the Grim Reaper. However, beneath its exaggerated humor lay a surprisingly morbid and psychologically decadent world. The show routinely confronted death, mortality, and moral corruption, presenting them in ways that are both absurd and uncomfortably real. Grim himself embodies the inevitability of death, and his reluctant servitude highlights themes of powerlessness, obligation, and existential resignation. The darkness of the series comes not just from its subject matter, but from its willingness to explore human and supernatural cruelty. Billy's reckless ignorance and Mandy's cold pragmatism often lead to genuinely harmful or terrifying consequences, underscoring the impact of selfishness, obsession, and unchecked power. Villains range from grotesque monsters to ordinary humans, amplified by magical chaos, making danger feel omnipresent and unpredictable. The show rarely lets its characters escape unscathed, and even victories carry unsettling implications. Beyond physical threat, Billy and Mandy delves into the psychology of fear, obsession, and control. Episodes explore identity, the limits of friendship, and the absurdity of life's moral ambiguities. Children watching may laugh at the outrageous antics, but the series never shies away from showing that actions have lasting repercussions. The tone shifts rapidly from slapstick to horror, creating a tension that makes humor feel uneasy and dark comedy truly effective.
Sing, I will make a dainty garland for my head and sing.
With a hay.
Daria, 1997. On the surface, Daria seems like a dry, sarcastic teen comedy about an intelligent, cynical high school girl navigating suburban life. Yet, beneath the witty observations and deadpan humor lies a series steeped in existential darkness. The show explored alienation, social anxiety, class consciousness, and the moral emptiness of consumer culture, presenting adolescence as a time fraught with ethical ambiguity, emotional isolation, and societal absurdity. Daria Morgendorffer's sharp intellect often serves as both a shield and a magnifying glass, allowing viewers to see the hypocrisies and cruelties of the world around. The series doesn't shy away from complex themes. Family dysfunction, peer pressure, and bullying are portrayed with realism, often highlighting the subtle cruelty inherent in social dynamics. While Daria's home life is more stable than many of her peers, it still reflects generational misunderstanding, emotional distance, and the quiet compromises of adult life. Episodes tackle issues such as the hollow pursuit of popularity, the superficiality of materialism, and the ethical compromises people make to fit in or succeed. Even seemingly comedic situations carry undercurrents of disappointment, disillusion, and existential frustration.
This is the 100th time, Gur. You have to stop watching this thing.
Invader Zim, 2001. Invader Zim is often remembered for its manic energy and grotesque humor, but beneath its chaotic surface lies a surprisingly dark and unsettling vision. The series follows Zim, an alien from the Urkin Empire, whose mission to conquer Earth is doomed from the start. While the show is full of absurdity, it thrives on themes of alienation, obsession, and the grotesque consequences of unchecked ambition. Zim's delusions of grandeur and total disregard for life around him often lead to genuinely horrifying outcomes, blurring the line between comedy and horror. One of the darkest aspects of Invader Zim is its treatment of human characters. The humans in the series are often oblivious, naive, or cruel, highlighting both Zim's isolation and the world's indifference toward the planet. Gore, his erratic robot companion, provides comic relief, but even his chaos underscores the unpredictability and menace of Zim's plan. Episodes frequently feature graphic depictions of destruction, bodily horror, and psychological torment, all rendered in a hyper-stylized, almost surreal manner that makes the violence simultaneously cartoonish and unsettling. Tiny Toon Adventures, 1990. Tiny Toon Adventures may seem like the antics of pint-sized versions of classic Looney Tunes characters, yet beneath its colorful surface lies a surprisingly dark and subversive layer. The series frequently toyed with themes of anxiety, failure, and existential dread, often using exaggerated cartoon violence and chaotic situations to explore deeper fears. Unlike its predecessors, Tiny Toons didn't shy away from consequences, moral ambiguity, or the emotional struggles of its young characters. Buster, Babs, and their peers are not simply playful versions of Bugs Bunny and friends, but they're students under constant pressure of Acme University, a setting that mirrors the real-world anxieties of growing up. Academic stress, competition, and fear of failure recur as recurring motifs, often presented in extreme, surreal ways. Episodes like Buster and the Beanstalk or Promises reveal that success and happiness are elusive, with characters frequently facing humiliation, disappointment, or the consequences of their own actions. The show also toyed with more grotesque or unsettling imagery than many would recall. Characters undergo exaggerated injuries, absurd transformations, or emotionally wrenching setbacks, all depicted with hyperbolic violence and absurdism. These moments, while comedic, subtly convey the fragility of safety and the unpredictable nature of existence. Happy Tree Friends, 2000. Happy Tree Friends presents itself as a cutesy, colorful series filled with adorable anthropomorphic animals. Its pastel visuals, cheerful music, and innocent-looking characters create the impression of a harmless children's show. However, this facade masks an extreme and relentless darkness. The series is infamous for its shocking, over-the-top violence, where characters frequently meet gruesome, permanent deaths in ways that are both absurd and horrifying. Unlike typical cartoon injury, consequences in Happy Tree Friends are absolute, and death, dismemberment, and suffering are permanent, emphasizing the unpredictability and cruelty of the world. Sweet characters like Cuddles or Giggles routinely face extreme peril, highlighting the fragility of life and the inevitability of misfortune. Episodes are constructed to lull viewers into a false sense of security, only to deliver graphic, surreal, and often unexpected calamities. This tension between perceived safety and shocking disaster amplifies the psychological impact, transforming a seemingly playful cartoon into a darkly satirical commentary on chaos, luck, and mortality. Visually and tonally, Happy Tree Friends expertly blends charm with terror, creating cognitive dissonance that lingers long after each episode ends. Beneath the sugar-coated veneer lies a fearless exploration of mortality, chaos, and the unrelenting randomness of life, making it one of the most provocative animated series of its era. Marvelous verdict. Looking back at these 12 animated series, it's clear that cartoons of the 90s and early 2000s were far more ambitious, emotionally complex, and psychologically daring than many remember. Beneath the colorful visuals, catchy theme song, and comedic antics lie explorations of trauma, isolation, moral ambiguity, and existential dread. From Batman the Animated Series' brooding noir to Happy Tree Friends' shocking absurdity, each show challenged the boundaries of what animation could express, proving that even seemingly child-friendly media could grapple with adult fears and emotions. Many of these series continue to resonate because they respect their audience's intelligence. They don't shy away from consequences, ambiguity, or discomfort. While children might have laughed at the antics, adult viewers can revisit these stories and recognize the underlying complexity, often finding them surprisingly haunting or thought-provoking. Ultimately, these 12 shows remind us that animation is not just entertainment. It's a medium capable of exploring the human condition with nuance, creativity, and emotional honesty. They prove that darkness, when handled thoughtfully, can coexist with humor, adventure, and fantasy, leaving a lasting impression that captivates viewers long after the final frame fades. Revisiting them today offers not just nostalgia, but a deeper appreciation for how courageously these series embrace the shadows lurking behind the laughter. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good and be safe. Thanks, everyone.